Great, thank you, Alec. I will just share my screen here. All right, before we get started, again, my name is Dhoreena Ventura, and here with me today is my wonder twin, Chris Radanovic. But before we get started, we want to find out what does the audience think? Can bots sell? So Alec, if you can help us launch the poll, we'd love to get to know what the audience thinks.
Yeah, the poll is on.
Great. So again, we want to gauge the audience. Do you think bots can sell? Yes, no, partially? Let us know.
We are looking at a 50% yes, 90% no. I'm sorry, 12% no, and 38% maybe.
Great. Okay. Awesome. Well, let's get started then, because at the end, we'll go over the same thing and make this a discussion topic for us. All right. So here at LivePerson, we've made it our mission to make life easier for people and brands everywhere through trusted conversational AI. So LivePerson has been a leader in innovative conversational technology over and over again. In our journey to conversational AI in the intent-driven business actually began in 1997. So 23 years ago, our CEO and founder, Robert Locascio, invented web chat. A little fun fact about our CEO, he's actually one of the longest standing founders and CEO in the tech industry. And in 2000, LivePerson went public on NASDAQ. But chat was not satisfying our mission. And in 2016, we launched asynchronous brand to consumer messaging with automation. Asynchronous messaging works on the consumer's time when it's convenient for us and for them, and as they need to come in and out of the conversation. Shortly after launching asynchronous messaging, we partnered with our first messaging customer, T-Mobile, and we launched conversational AI in 2019. AI is becoming part of every day. It's in our homes, our Alexa, it's in the apps that we use and at work. AI is critical, and it's a critical part of becoming conversational, and brands cannot complete the transformation without embracing it. So 2021, today, we now have the tools and expertise to transform brands into scalable, intent-driven businesses. Last month alone, LivePerson helped brands connect with their consumers with more than 35 million conversations. This is just for the month of March. Imagine that. So with March having 35 million or more conversations happening just at LivePerson and our brands, how can brands scale? Also, when consumers expect us to understand them. But even more importantly, they want us to know them and use the knowledge to provide highly personalized experiences. Because as brands, and as it is LivePerson's mission, we can do better. We can use the knowledge we have to provide more personal experiences and predict the needs of the people who are engaging with us. And the answer really is using automation, which is critical to success. As messaging popularity increases, it becomes more and more important to support conversations with automation to provide the best possible quality of service with the same precious number of resources. So implementing structured automation is the first step in fostering a successful customer service operation. And automation allows brands to connect to more customers than ever before. So scale. So as you can see here, this chart shows how many conversations we've had. And of those conversations, 63% include automation, with 28% fully contained, meaning the bot never had to escalate to an agent. The bot handled everything, and they were able to fulfill consumer intents. So now let's dig deep onto the use cases and really talk about the power of what bots can do. Chris, off to you.
Thanks, Dhoreena, and hi, everybody. I'm very excited to be here today. During the session, I'm going to pause in a few places to try and have some interactive discussion on a few different topics that I'm going to bring up. So please remember to raise your hand when I prompt for those questions, and let's get an interactive conversation going. So historically, bot development and automation programs have been focused on care use cases. These have been incredibly successful. In fact, we've seen some LivePerson customers automate upwards of 75% of their care conversations in really creative ways. Take, for example, Rose. Rose is the AI concierge for the Cosmopolitan Hotel in Las Vegas. Rose has a very risque personality, playing into the Vegas lifestyle and the Cosmopolitan's brand. Rose is incredibly successful, driving increased guest spend, higher engagement, and return contacts. On a personal note, my wife loves Rose. On a Vegas trip early last year, before the pandemic, she found an off-the-menu drink at one of the Cosmopolitan lounges thanks to a recommendation from Rose. So Rose is really relatable and effective. The success of this is a great foundation to build upon, especially as we start to think about the transition of expanding automation into the sales space. Let's look at another example, like T-Mobile. T-Mobile is LivePerson's first messaging brand, and they use automation to drive significant reduction in cost to service their consumers, while also providing great experiences. The question is, how do we leverage this success and the learnings from these to shift automation into sales and marketing use cases? Basically, are we ready to build bots to drive conversion? Are we ready to build bots that can sell? So I want to pause here and pose a question to the group. And please feel free to raise your hand and we can unmute you and share, and you can share your thoughts with us. What does it mean to sell? What actions do we need to take into consideration when we think about selling, right? As we think about automation in sales, what do we need to think about? What does it mean to sell? Anyone want to jump in? Anyone at all? Love to have an interactive conversation.
I mean, while people are trying to gather their thoughts, I think for me, it's selling from a bot perspective is helping me through my journey, right? It's not just getting me to buy the product right there and then, it's actually helping nurture and answering my questions about specs or the dress that I'm looking for and I want it in a different color, right? And they can look for that for me. They can tell me if it's available. So really it's about having that personal connection with the brand.
Yeah, excellent. So when you purchase from a brand, you want to have that connection, right? And I think we have a hand up?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, great. Yes, hi, my name is Michael. So this is a great topic. I would ask a qualified question first, though. When the question is, what does it mean to sell? I would qualify it by asking selling what product or service, because if I'm doing B2C, business to consumer, it may be easier than a B2B relationship. But having said that, I could also see an easier upsell. Oh, I see you like that red purse. Would you like to see the one in blue or green? And it'll only cost you $5 more.
Yes, so a fantastic call out. And I think that if I can paraphrase, I think that one of the things you have to think about when you think about what it means to sell is who is your customer,
right?
Who is your audience, right? Who am I conversing with? What are their needs? What are their desires? What are their goals? And how do I support that in any sales use case? But especially we have to think about how to do that with bots and automation.
And plus, so you brought up, or you didn't bring up, whether it's in person or online, because I could see walking into a store, an old-fashioned retail store, and having a bot communicate with me. But if I'm going to buy something like, I don't know, maybe even a car or machinery or something in a business-to-business relationship, maybe it could be a more sophisticated conversation because I know what I'm looking for. I just need a quote and maybe some attributes. Does it come in this size? Is it available in 2 weeks? Warranty more than 30, 60, 90 days, etc. That might be easier to do than just yes, I'm a new business. I need to get going. Help me figure out what I need to buy. That's a little too broad, I think, for chatbots.
Yeah. So two things out of that. First, complexity of the product that the bot is selling.
And sophistication of the buyer.
Yep. And sophistication of the buyer. Yep. Exactly.
Where are they in that sales process?
Yep. And then the second is what are all the little pieces, tidbits of information that the bot has to have access to properly answer the questions that the buyer has, right? And your example, color is a great example. The bot needs to know what colors available and what colors are there. So yeah, absolutely. Two additional great concepts that we have to think about when we think about what it means to sell.
And one last thing I'll throw in is vocabulary. If I'm buying a, B2C, I'm buying a purse, new pair of shoes, what mind you, if I say, yeah, I'm looking for something that's rose colored, will it know what rose colored means?
Right. Yep. Right.
As opposed to red or pink.
So language understanding, right? Understanding the consumer and being able to take action on it. Right. Exactly. Great.
Yeah, we've got a few more in the chat.
Great.
Sorry. Yeah, a few more. So I'll read a few from the chat. Nice one, a hybrid experience. Bought in a brick and mortar store could enhance the overall selling process to guide the customer. That's super interesting. Some other items, accommodate a customer demand with the right service or product, or connect the customer with what they want at the value they're willing to spend. Getting consumer intent resolved. Go ahead.
I was just going to reinforce, those are additional great examples of knowing your customer, right? Understanding what they want and knowing where they're coming from, what their expectations are, and being able to fulfill those.
Yeah, and we got one more, definitely along those lines, helping the customer make the right choice before the sale is closed.
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. So guiding a customer to get the product or solution that is most appropriate or applicable to their needs, to fulfilling their needs, knowing the customer again, right? Okay, great.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
And last one, for complicated purchases, sometimes you have to go back a few times. So the merchant should not forget what you've already looked at or kind of initial choices you've made, and keep some sort of history.
And once again, know your customer, right? So know what their history is, what they've looked at before, what they've purchased from you before, and be able to use that. Dhoreena talked about those highly personalized experiences that consumers want. And when we think about selling, we need to know information about that consumer and take what we know about that consumer and use it to provide that personalized experience, even in an automated conversation, right? Let me ask another question. Can AI play varying roles in the sales process? As we think about this idea of bot selling, we often fall back on the concept of the bot owning the end-to-end conversation, containment. That's my goal. But are there other opportunities for AI in the sales flow that don't necessarily rely on the bot managing the entire experience? And I do see a note,
Okay.
comment in the, I see a comment in the chat here about assistant role. Michael, I'd love to have you expand on that a little bit. What do you mean by assistant, and what kind of functions can the assistant play that would help in a sales conversation? Research
Yeah.
prices. Yep.
So we've got Yelena who got her hand up first, and Michael will be right after.
All right.
Go ahead, Yelena. Yelena, we're not able to hear you. Okay, Michael, go ahead, and maybe we'll be able to circle back with Yelena.
Sure. So thank you. So yeah, definitely, again, in the B2B or B2C sales process, I could see using a chatbot to do research. I want to buy that purse, or I need to buy that jet engine. Oh, but wait a minute. Has there been a recall? What's the review of that purse or that jet engine? Hey, chatbot, who likes this? How many of my friends have already bought this? Can I get a better price if I go to a competitor? Questions like that are easier for a chatbot to do, because it requires less of my attention. I don't have to type while I'm talking. I can ask it a question. Yeah, research the price on the product and get back to me. Oh, do I already have one of those in my stock? How many do I have? And then I go off and do something else. Let the chatbot come back to me and say, well, I've done the research and there's blah, 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 the data.
Yeah, so the bot can be trained to provide those quick answers, those quick responses to common questions, or questions that data the answers can be stored inside the knowledge content management system that the bot is accessing. Exactly.
Yeah, and that is one of my questions, though, that I wanted to bring up at some point. I can see the good news is the chatbot can assist me. I think that's best because of the state of the technologies. However, how comfortable am I with a chatbot that knows, hey, we picked up that you only buy red shoes on Thursday. Today's a Thursday. Can I offer you another pair of red shoes? I might be uncomfortable with it being a little too knowledgeable or inappropriate, asking me the question at the wrong time.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we're in the emerging technologies, has a lot of potential, but there are still open questions about, quit being a pest. If I have something on, I'll ask you for it, but don't just jump in and tell me everything you need to know about red purses.
Yeah, we don't want to get creepy, right? Exactly.
So Chris, someone asked to repeat the question.
Oh yeah, so the question was, as we think about this idea of bots, how bots selling, we often fall back to bots owning that end-to-end conversation, but are there other opportunities for AI within the sales flow, the sales experience? Can AI play varying roles in that process? And yeah, this idea of bots assisting consumers and even assisting agents is a great example of applying AI in various stages of the sales process to help sell and help be successful. And so what I'd like to do is start to share with you some examples of some of our brands who work with LivePerson and how they're using AI in their space, and maybe generate some discussion around that. So let's look at a few examples of successful bot sales. And in the first grouping, we'll look at some end-to-end experiences, right? Where the bot can manage that sales conversation from end to end. So
hey,
David's
Chris, so we have one more live answer from Nayef, and then we have a few on the chat.
Okay, well, okay. So there was a live response?
So I can read off the question here. I think Phil D. Hall, thank you. Question is, what is the driver for these conversations that are being hypothesized? Are we talking about purely data-driven conversations according to machine learning paradigm, or are we looking at a broader conversational AI system? If the former, what system is being used at LivePerson?
So the the sales engagements are happening within messaging interaction platforms that LivePerson supports through our programs, and then are supported by agents having those digital conversations with the consumers. In some cases, those agents are bots. In some cases, those agents are humans. The LivePerson conversational cloud supports all of those different capabilities, including the bot building technology, the NLU that is used to recognize the consumer statements, and then even integration capabilities into backend systems to pull in that external data needed to personalize the experience and provide the consumer the best possible sales experience via an automated flow. So yes, so the LivePerson cloud does manage all of the aspects of these digital engagements.
Thanks for that. And then a relevant comment here from Chris McQuaid. A sales chat isn't always just give this thing at this price. Very often the conversation is, when I buy this thing from you, what happens if I disconnect early? Which is ideal for a bot to suggest the answer to the agents or even try to do end to end.
Yeah, great comment, Chris. Thank you for adding that. I'm actually going to show and talk a little bit about Agent Assist in some examples in a bit. But yeah, Agent Assist, where a bot's actually making the agent better instead of interacting necessarily directly with the customer. So there are a couple of different opportunities to use AI to support those sales conversations. Great, thanks. So let's talk about David's Bridal. David's Bridal, if you're not familiar, sells wedding dresses. They have created a bot that handles conversations coming into their messaging programs. This bot asks the consumer their intent at the start of the conversation. And if the bride selects, I need help placing an order, then they interact with the bot to order their dress. Through this flow, the bride can get product availability, complete the order process, understand what happens next in the delivery process, etc. And it works really well for David's Bridal. The bot in its first weeks sold $30,000 of dresses through this fully automated process. Now, this use case is focused on a high value purchase, a wedding dress, where the bride knows what they want. So they've probably done their shopping, they know they're ready to purchase, and now they're ready to place the order. By automating that, they free their sales agents up to handle those more consultative conversations to help move brides along in their journey. The learnings from David's Bridal identify those use cases in the sales flow that makes sense to automate. Some use cases don't make sense. Some do, right? For David's Bridal, they wanted their human agents to provide that great benefit in their consultation services. So they automated the more transactional activities like placing an order and scheduling an appointment that didn't need human assistance. So look at the different aspects of your sales process and use automation where it provides the most benefit to help you meet your goals. Let's take another look at an example of a bot selling. And this is one of my favorites. So Aramark offers concession services at sporting venues across the United States. They were looking for a unique way to engage consumers at the ballpark to order beverages, beer. And as a result, Brew to You was launched. Using a QR code attached to the back of the seat in front of you, you can open a conversation with a bot via Apple Business Chat to order a beverage. You can get a list of available beers. You can make your selection. You can even make your payment via Apple Pay and get your beer delivered directly to your seat, ensuring that you're not going to miss a single pitch. The trial that they did at Citizens Bank Park, the home of the Philadelphia Phillies, was so successful that they rolled out plans to deliver Brew to You across their sports venues nationwide. What can we learn from Aramark? Convenience is key, right? If we can provide automated experiences that give consumers their time back and let them easily get what they're looking for, they will not only interact with the bot, but they'll come back more frequently, driving increased order volume, revenue, and loyalty. So I want to pause here and let's have another discussion. What intents in your purchase flows can you automate? Where can automation increase convenience for your customers? And where doesn't automation not make sense, right? The verse. Remember to raise your hand so that we can unmute you, and let's get some feedback on this idea of selecting the right intents in the purchase flow to automate.
So while we're waiting, Aramark is also my favorite brew to you. Now I want a beer. We have a question from Michael. Michael's asking, who controls the client data? Aramark?
So yes, so the conversation flows through LivePerson and the transcript data is in LivePerson, but when the bot needs to access inventory or other information about the consumer or the brand, that data is most often stored on the brand side, Aramark side. In the Aramark example, there's an API that's called that offers up that gets a list of the available beverages and then offers them up inside the content within the system. And yeah, it's actually built in conjunction with Aramark. So they review the security processes, they review the API calls, et cetera, and then make that access. So yeah, definitely with permission from the client.
Sure. Okay, thank you. Alec, did anyone raise their hands for a comment?
No, no others.
Okay, that's all right. So so let's look at another example. In this case, looking at a lead gen example, right? So now that we've taken a look at some end-to-end use cases, let's look at an example of how a bot can collect the information necessary for a human to provide that customized recommendation to a consumer. So Open Universities Australia helps students find schools, universities to complete the education programs that they're interested in. They use a lead gen bot to collect information from the student that the human agent can then use to customize the offering that they present. This lead gen bot saves the human agent time and increases the ROI, in this case, 250%. Lead gen bots are great tools to remove those redundant activities that reps have to complete, right? But bots can be used elsewhere in the conversation too for similar purposes, not just to collect leads at the beginning. For example, a bot can be added to a conversation to take a customer through a terms and conditions acceptance flow prior to completing the sale, right? A repeatable process that takes a lot of time for the agent, a lot of energy for the agent, and can be automated. So freeing the agent up to help other customers. This gives the agent additional time to do more value add activities and helps the agent succeed in closing and completing that sale. So what processes do you think you could automate in your systems, in your sales flows, that would then free your human agents up for other selling opportunities and activities? Anybody want to add some thoughts around what kind of processes we can automate to make it easier for agents to succeed? And I do see a question about Open Universities playing mixed media and video. We do have rich content, rich media capabilities within the messaging platform that we have. Of course, it depends on the channel that the consumer is communicating in. But yes, we can definitely show mixed media, videos, audio files, images, carousels, various other structured content as well. Anybody have any other thoughts on these types of processes that we might be able to automate to make agents more efficient?
So yeah, I just have a question about the lead gen. Am I assuming then that this is an outbound campaign, or is this considered an inbound campaign?
So Open Universities Australia actually does both. They do proactive campaigns, and then they also have the ability for consumers, for students to message via inbound channels and engagements in things like on their website, within apps, things like that. So it's a combination. It can be a combination of both.
So for this application specifically that we're talking about, I would have to have the Open Universities app on my device and initiate the conversation myself, correct?
Not necessarily. You could do it through Apple Business Chat. So through Apple Messaging, you can do it through SMS. You can do it through a variety of different sources, and you can generate the conversation yourself. We also do have the proactive outreach, outbound capabilities. But yeah, in this example that we're looking at right here, the student would start the conversation.
Oh, great. And did they make this available to third-party partners? So again, if they have an affiliation with anybody, they could put in a link. So they would come to my site, see this link, I click the link, and it would take me to this app.
I'm not sure if Open Universities does that specifically, but that capability absolutely exists, and you can definitely connect through sources like that. In fact, through Apple, if you go into Apple and do a search, it will offer up the chat option, the messaging option within the search results, so that you can jump right into it through the Apple interface. So yeah, so you can definitely put engagements in many different places if you've got the affiliate relationships to do it.
So then one last question I have specific to this: if I want to attend university and I'm looking for left-handed blonde classes, or some such thing, if I have low vision, could I have this screen read to me? Would that be part of this solution, or would I have to depend on my hardware to be able to do that with the application?
So the rendering is applicable to all screen reader regulation requirements. So
that'd be based on the screen reader. Okay, great, thank you.
Sure. So let's keep moving ahead and look at an example of conversation assist helping, another example of conversations helping humans, AI helping humans. In this case, perhaps we are in a position where we can't automate the sales flows or use bots for external facing type things. That doesn't mean that the AI can't have a place in the sales conversation. It can be used here to support your human agents to make them super successful. Take, for example, a telco that I worked with in the UK a few years ago. As part of their broadband sales flow, they needed to have the consumer run a line check. The results of that line check are passed to the agent, but in a format that requires the agent to research the results and determine the best product to position to the consumer. We built an agent assist bot that takes the line results, processes the data, and provides the agent answers, which they can then choose from to position to the consumer. And those answers are shown right in line in the conversation, like you see in the visual here. This agent assist bot significantly reduced the time that it took to onboard new agents by 50%, as measured by the time it takes to get a rep to the expected performance.
Hey, Chris, I think we're having some audio issues.
Yeah, I also don't see him on my end anymore. He might have gotten disconnected. Okay. So as we're going through, we can kind of go through this. So again, we built an agent assist bot that takes the line test results, processes the data, and provides the agent multiple solutions which they can choose from to position the consumer. So this agent assist bot significantly, again, reduced the time it took to onboard new agents by 50%. So inline conversation assist uses AI to support agent, making them more successful and benefiting from your bottom line. So really what it can do is the bot can either help you with relevant articles that are readily available for you because they were able to classify the intent. So they can recommend, again, relevant articles. And at the same time, they can also have a bot join. Can you hear me, or am I also frozen? Okay.
I hear you fine.
Sorry, I thought I froze too. Okay. So again, bots and AI can support sales use cases in many ways and not just a bot, right? So from the back end, we can help the agents actually become more successful on the way they're reaching out to their consumers by providing relevant articles. And then instead of them having to, let's say, take a bot information or take a consumer information on especially personal identifiable information, the bot can do that, making sure that it's secure and not and it never faces the agent at all. So again, we encourage you to think creatively about how AI can support your sales program across all these possible methods and not just the bot. Now, let's go into how do I drive my automation strategy forward? These are just ways for us to really have a way to kind of like a pre-launch checklist in order for us to make sure that whenever we're deploying bots, automation, or strategy, we're thinking about it from an end-to-end perspective and making sure that we're customer-centric and really thinking about it from a consumer point of view. So now that we've looked at some of the case or some of the success stories and talked about some of the opportunities and possibilities that we can pursue, let's briefly talk about how we can get there. So number one is start listening to your consumers. Using tools like Intent Manager that we have available at LivePerson, you can start tracking your consumer intent so that you can understand exactly where the opportunities are. Understand what your consumers are actually asking you and the quality of the service they are currently getting as they have those needs fulfilled. This intent understanding is a foundation of your automation program. So when we say intent-driven business, this is it. Starting from the intent and actually understanding your consumers, not just by what they're saying, but what actual intents they're reaching out to your brand about. So with Intent Manager, you can make educated decisions around the best intents to automate and identify where your bots are struggling and need training to the experiences they are having. So again, understanding intents is the foundation. Now, once you know what your consumers are asking, do a critical review of intents to determine which are prime opportunity for automation. Some intents can be fully automated, like order status and technical support or troubleshooting flows. You can answer easy, common questions with an FAQ bot, or even provide guided instructions for help. So sometimes you need that human touch, but bots can support the human conversations. Use a bot to collect the details your human agent needs. So what we talked earlier about as well with Conversation Assist. So Finally, we know that there are some intents that must be handled by a human. Intents that are highly sensitive, use AI to identify those high-touch intents and combine with contextual information, things that you know about your consumer, and get them immediately to the best agents. This is a highly personalized experience that consumers want. Next, design a great conversation to support the intent. Using the data that you collected from Intent Manager or a tool like Intent Manager and your prioritization of intents, research, document, and map out the consumer journey for the intents you want to automate. Research across the IVR, web, app, and social media to better understand what it's like to be a customer with this intent. Make sure you identify the unhappy path as well as the happy path. Identifying where the automation might struggle is just as important where it will succeed. So use your agent experience to design the automation. At LivePerson, we built our tools for non-technical users like agents to build those automation flows. So they know how to talk to your customers, and their insight and knowledge is valuable as you design the automation. Finally, you are ready for the actual conversation design. Good conversation design for a bot is about creating an ambassador for your brand and an emotional connection with your customer. All the data and knowledge you have collected, processed, and analyzed goes into the best in market conversation design that delivers great bots. Once the bot is built, you have one final evaluation to make sure the bot is ready to go live. Our automation pre-launch checklist is an aggressive audit process to make sure bots are built correctly to minimize risk and increase the likelihood of success. So this is based on 15 required principles and 17 recommended principles. And you should not deploy if the bot fails. So this is a checklist that we put together to make sure that before a bot deploys, we check and make sure that it is something that the consumers would enjoy as an experience. So this checklist ensures the most common failure points are resolved pre-launch, and then the result is a great bot. So just to name some of the few required and recommended. So required is the bot transparent about being a bot automated assistant? Are the KPIs and success criteria for the automation well-defined and understood? Does the bot set the tone and expectations as to what type of queries it can handle? So these things are just as important for us to know before a bot launches. And it's transparency, making sure that the customer knows what the bot can do, as well as the bot knows, the line they should not cross with the humans that they're talking to. And then also any failure, any knowledge base that we can train the bot, that's what we do. And then for recommended, it depends on the channel that the bot is deployed in, but it's something that we look into. Like, does the bot provide examples of how to interact? Right? Does it give you a pick list? Does it give you a carousel? Is there rich media that you can click into? Does the bot reprompt or ask clarifying questions upon failure? Does the bot pause between consecutive messages? So these are things that we're really looking into to make sure that our brands are successful whenever they deploy a bot. And this is, again, channel specific. So are you ready to launch? The work does not end here. Bots are agents in the conversational cloud at LivePerson, just like human agents. They need coaching and training. You do not train a human, turn them loose, and never follow up, do you? But bots are the same. They need to be managed. Set up your bot management strategy in advance of launch so that you're ready to monitor and act on what you are seeing happening in the conversations. So use tools like LivePerson's AI annotator to make bots better. When a bot does not understand the consumer and the conversation is escalated to a human, AI annotator shows that misunderstood message in an agent widget, where the agent can with just a couple of clicks, inform you that what your intent, inform you what intent that message should have matched with. So this way, your intent taxonomy team can quickly update the NLU and help the bot understand better next time. So the bots are the agents that are seeing the messages being misclassified or not matched with the intent, the right intent, can actually help their NLU become stronger by annotating it themselves. So continue to use Intent Analyzer to monitor the intent performance and find additional intents to automate. Continuing to evolve your program, layering on additional automation will get you those results we saw earlier. So finally, what you see on the screen right here is our Performance Optimizer. Performance Optimizer is our dashboard underpinned by a proprietary algorithm that we call the 4 E's. So this helps balance your operation. So really helps you find the operational sweet spot and achieve optimal efficiency while reducing consumer effort and driving high experience. So now that we have talked about different ways bots can help in your sales program, I would like to ask another poll question. So Alec, if we can launch the poll again, I'd love to know what the audience thinks of this question again. So can bots and automation help with selling?
Yep, the poll is live.
Great, thank you. Let's see if we made a difference.
Yeah, I think we're at 85% yes or maybe.
Ooh, okay.
And the yes, almost 60% yes. So lots of people interested in at least trying it out and feeling more optimistic.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. We want to thank you for taking your time to come to this bots and AI meetup here. And thank you, Alec, for having us here to present with you. So Chris and I would love to answer any questions that you may have. We put our emails here, so feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions. Specifically, Chris, he's the AI expert. I wonder if he ever made it back on our Zoom.
Yeah, he's on audio.
I'm here on audio, but I didn't want to interrupt you because you're doing such a great job going through this. So thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so our conversational AI expert is still here. So any questions? Great, I'm just looking through if we saw any comments or questions, Alec.
Just a question if the session was being recorded, and I answered yes, it was.
Awesome, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm curious, people that are kind of in the no or maybe camp, what is it that you're kind of unsure about? Is there like a next step that would make you feel that this is definitely worth a shot? Really, I'm very curious what people's challenges are and if there's any way we can help either in this session or follow-up sessions. We got one question. Who internally at brands owns selling bots? Is a different person than Care? That's always interesting to find out, like who the actual person is who would approve a project like this or even get it started. Like often it's a cross-functional team when it's actually rolling, but someone's got to be like the initiator.
Yeah, this is Chris. So we do see a couple of different scenarios for brand structure for how selling use cases are managed, right? Oftentimes, like I mentioned earlier on, we've got this history of being able to provide automation and care that we can then build on. So oftentimes there will be a sales contact center group who wants to try and leverage AI to improve their processes, to improve their experiences and success. And they will reach out to the care team to understand how they used AI, how it's set up. And often there's a partnership between the sales and the care teams and the IT group who's doing the bot building, any bot development, API development, et cetera. So it's a partnership, but often driven by the actual sales leadership who wants to improve sales performance and efficiency.
All right, thank you. We've definitely had people thanking us, so appreciate you all coming. And I'm guessing we'll be able to get a copy of the slides that we can share after the event to the audience as well.
Yep, absolutely.
All right,
and thank
awesome.
you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.